The biggest battleground of all in the election is Ontario. 122 seats up for grabs in this province. Let's bring in our senior reporter, Mike Crawley. He has covered politics in Ontario for the past 15 years. And Mike, how has this federal election campaign played out in our province?
Well, Dwight, with exports being such a big part of Ontario's economy and with tariffs hitting the auto sector and the steel sector, the shadow of Donald Trump and his tariffs have been really the big thing looming over this entire election campaign. But that was not really the only issue for Ontario voters. Affordability is still polling as a big concern for people, in particular the cost of housing. And you had the three main party leaders campaigning here in this province with great frequency throughout this 5-week campaign. But as the campaign wore on, Dwight, you saw a real differentiation in the pitches to Ontario voters coming from the Conservative leader, Pierre Poilievre, compared with the Liberal leader, Mark Carney, compared with the New Democrat leader, Jagmeet Singh. And it was really noticeable in the final rallies that each of them held in Ontario over the past weekend. Take a look.
After the lost Liberal decade of rising crime, chaos, drugs, and disorder, we cannot risk a fourth Liberal term. We have to reverse the policies that got us into this mess.
It's a time for serious leadership. It's a time to come together and unite as a country because we need to fight, we need to protect, and we need to build.
I get it. You're worried about Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives. We are too. We don't want them in. Here's the good news. Pierre is not winning this thing. He is not winning this election.
All three of these leaders have ties to Ontario. Carney and Poilievre, although they both grew up in Alberta, they're running in ridings in the Ottawa area. In fact, side-by-side ridings. Carney is in the riding of Nepean, Poilievre in the riding of Carleton. And Jagmeet Singh, although he's running a riding in British Columbia, he grew up in Windsor, and of course, he represented Brampton as a member of the provincial legislature.
Mike, Premier Doug Ford's role in this campaign, he is a progressive Conservative, but he did not endorse the Conservative leader, Pierre Poilievre.
Yeah, definitely not anything you could call a full-throated endorsement from Doug Ford, although he says he always votes Conservative and puts a blue sign on his lawn. Look, the tension really between Doug Ford and Pierre Poilievre kind of burst out into the open during this campaign. Doug Ford told reporters that he had a phone call with Poilievre seeking advice, campaign advice in March, and Ford said that was the first time they'd actually had a conversation. And you gotta look at how startling that is. Doug Ford is the most powerful Conservative politician in Canada. He's been Premier of Ontario for nearly 7 years, and Poilievre has been the Conservative leader since 2022. So not even a phone call to congratulate Doug Ford for winning any of his elections or even a congratulatory tweet on the last one. And then we had Doug Ford's campaign manager, Corey Teneycke, quite publicly and vociferously criticizing how the Poilievre campaign was being run. Corey Teneycke's background with the Conservative Party of Canada goes way back to the Harper years. And when Doug Ford was asked about this, he completely backed his campaign manager and said, sometimes the truth hurts. So meanwhile, Ford's had pretty much nothing but good things to say about Mark Carney, the Liberal leader, and the two of them actually sat down for breakfast just a few days after Carney was chosen the Liberal leader.
There you go. So, Mike, then what should people watch for when the results come in from Ontario?
Well, Dwight, a simple rule of thumb through the past 50 years has been the party that wins the most seats in Ontario wins the election. That's happened in every election the past 50 years except one. So that's one thing to look for, but I'll also be watching closely to change from the last election. So let's take a look at the numbers from Ontario in 2021. The Liberals won 78 seats, the Conservatives 37, the New Democrats 5, and the Greens 1. There's one extra seat in Ontario this election. So if the Liberals can pretty much hold on to that 78 number, they're on track to win the election. If they can add a handful to that total, say 80 or 85 seats in this province, they could be headed to a majority. For the Conservatives, there's absolutely no path to victory unless they eat into that Liberal number in Ontario. And for the NDP and the Greens, they'll just breathe a sigh of relief if their incumbents can hold on.
Mike, thank you.